For the vast majority of the year, residents of the Druze village Majd al-Shams lead a quiet life. But once a year, on February 14th, locals gather on a hillside to protest, just a few meters away from the Israeli-Syrian border.
We celebrate today the 25th anniversary of our glorious uprising.
Majd al-Shams is the largest Druze village on the Golan Heights, which Israel took from Syria during the 1967 war. In December 1981, the Israeli parliament revoked its military rule over the Golan and annexed the area. 2 months later, on February the 14th, the Druze, still regarding themselves as Syrians, began a 6-month strike to protest that move. Nuhad Safadi was 14 at the time. She still remembers the first days of the strike.
A soldier came and told me, go home. I told him, you go home. You're from Tel Aviv. What are you here for?
18,000 Druze live on the Golan. Most of them hold identity cards issued by Israel. Under the nationality clause, they say nationality unclear. But to the Druze, their identity and nationality couldn't be clearer.
The Golan is Syrian Arab, and to prove this, you can see these people who guard their Syrian Arab nationality. Today we tell the whole world that we are Syrian Arabs, and that this identity is in our veins and in our tears.
There was a collective decision not to accept the Israeli identity card. I was 14, so I didn't realize the consequences of this political decision, nor did it interest me much. Our identity is not Israeli, it's Syrian. The occupation was forced upon us and infringed our human rights. Let me give you an example. You see this land over there, just after the White House. My family used to have 5 acres of land. They worked there, they dug a well to water it, and then came the occupation and cut off the land. They placed the border here and caused us great financial damage.
The war didn't only cause financial damage to the Druze on the Golan, it also separated them from their families in Syria.
I remember my mother from when I was a kid. She used to cry when she thought of her large family. She couldn't see her uncle or her sister. We grew up hearing these stories.
In an unusual step, Israel has allowed Druze students to study in Syrian universities. Nuhad seized the opportunity to send her daughter Hind to study in Damascus.
I felt like I'd sent a part of myself with her. I told her, love Damascus for me, hear it for me, see it for me. We have a deep human and emotional connection between us and our capital.
The Druze in the Golan know that if there'd be peace between Israel and Syria, the Golan would probably return to Syrian hands. On the other hand, the Druze living in the Galilee, an undisputable Israeli area, regard themselves as Israelis. They join the Israeli army and largely blend into Israeli society.
Their joining the Israeli army was a mistake, and we denounce it. They are Arabs, not Israelis. Who are they fighting for? What are they protecting?
Abu Fakhri prides himself on being the first Druze arrested after the 1967 war. In the years since, all of his sons have been imprisoned. 2 of them are still in jail. They were imprisoned in 1985.
They were imprisoned because they expressed their views as Syrian Arabs, defending their Syrian Arab identity. They had an organization, and they bombed Israeli military warehouses in the Golan area.
What the Druze see as the boys' sacrifice for the Syrian nation was not forgotten. Abu Fakhri says not only does the whole village respect them for it, but also the Syrian leadership. On the wall hangs a photo of Abu Fakhri from his visit to Damascus 2 years ago. The person sitting in front of him is none other than Syrian Prime Minister Naji al-Utri. The Druze in the Golan live a double life. On the one hand, they regard themselves as Syrians and wish for the day when the Golan will return to Syria.
We hope the Golan will be liberated very soon, peacefully or militarily.
On the other hand, they lead a pragmatic way of life, viewing Israel not only as their occupier, but also as their neighbour.
We deal with Israeli society with openness. We regard them as ordinary people, just like us. There can be friendly relations between Arabs and Jews.